welcome everyone. My name is Carlos Tercios. I'm with Latinos United for Conservative Action. I want to thank everyone for showing up today, for attending this event called Dangers of Transgenderism. We have the transitioner, Abel Garcia, that's going to be talking about his experience. And before we get started with that, we're going to start our meeting with prayer. And so Elva Camacho is going to be leading us in prayer and starting the meeting today. So,
can everybody please stand? Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful day that we were so blessed to wake up with, dear Lord. Despite of the weather, we know it's all in your hands, just like this event and anything else that we fight for, dear Lord. I'm asking you to bless us, bless the people that are fighting for you, dear Lord, and our country, dear Lord, that you bring us together in any aspect that you feel deemed necessary, dear Lord, and work through us, walk with us ahead, behind, above, below, anywhere. Just encamp your angels around us, dear Lord, to give us that protection, because we are being attacked, dear Lord, and I don't like it, and I know you don't like it, dear Lord. So I'm asking you and asking for you to come and be our voice. Let us speak your word and spread your word up and foremost, dear Lord. And you are the Alpha, you are the Omega, and all these people, you know your people are the apple of your eye, our brothers and sisters in Christ, dear Lord. Thank you, Jesus. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
All right, amen. All right, thank you, Elva. All right, so we're going to get all of the organizations that helped co-host this event to just, talk a little bit about their organization and, of course, what they're doing for like 30 seconds. So, Elva, would you? Yeah. Yes, sir. And then we have the Young Republicans, and you're with CDF? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get up and just talk a little bit. And then.
Well, good. I don't think I need this because I speak loud.
Yeah, well, it's for the.
Oh. Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming, despite of the weather, getting up and having to get dressed and not have to stay in bed. My name's Elva Camacho. I'm the president of the Tarrant County Republican Hispanic Assembly. Our group meets once a month on the fourth Tuesday of every month. We are a grassroots company. We are not associated with the National Hispanic Assembly at all. We educate, we motivate. I took this position. This is going on my fourth year in June. Third year, I'm sorry. I'll be going into my fourth year in June. And when I came into this, after running for office, I saw the lack of education in our communities and not knowing the whole political system of our local government and how important it is. When I went block walking, and it startled me that, it just broke my heart. People weren't voting because they said, well, the president's going to do what he wants to anyway. I said, the president has nothing to do with Fort Worth, Texas. And that's where I came in. And when I saw that, that is where not just did my fight start personally, but with this organization, I found it my duty with not just my culture of people, but with all people to educate them on the importance of our local politics. Our local politics failed us yesterday. They failed us hard, and we are coming after them. We are not going away lightly at all. Yeah. So I can say they all know me, and they know we're not having it. So thank you guys for coming, and I am so glad I got to meet you, Abel, personally, just for a little bit. I can't wait to hear your testimony. God bless you. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Elva. And now.
Hello, I'm Chris Kittle, and I'm the education lead for Citizens Defending Freedom. Our executive director is out of town this weekend, so she wasn't able to come. But we meet the first Thursday of every month. So on May 2nd, we are having Bunny Pounds come and speak. We are going to be meeting this month, the next meeting we are having is going to be at Sierra in South Fort Worth. But we try to move around Tarrant County because we have people from all over Tarrant County. So we would love to see you.
Thank you. Do you want to say some words?
Thank you, Carlos. My name's Eric Robertson. I'm the president of Tarrant County Young Republicans. That's an organization for Republicans 40 and younger. So if you are 41, you are just a Republican. I'll be turning 41 before way too long, and my mother was like, "Okay, you'll be an old Republican." It's like you don't actually need to add "old" to Republican, but yeah, youngish Republican is what I'll be then. So it's my pleasure to come out and see you all here today. We had some real enlightening talk with a detransitioner last year named Kat Cattinson that we had come in. But I've heard multiple stories, and there's always some new detail, and it's usually appalling. So it's with a certain grim anticipation I've been looking forward to seeing Abel here. And thank you, Carlos.
All right, and of course, I'm the executive director for Texas for Latinos United for Conservative Action. And Latinos United for Conservative Action, our goal is to mobilize the Hispanic population and to make them realize that they're actually conservative. They believe in God, they believe in family, they believe in country. They don't believe in all of this woke agendas. So our goal is to activate the Hispanic population, to educate the Hispanic population, to mobilize the conservative Hispanic population. And so if you're, of course, interested in finding out more information, we got some cards here and some flyers if you're interested in helping out anyway. But that's me, and that's LUCA. And now we're going to have any elected officials or candidates that are here to stand up, and I'll give you 30 seconds and just talk about your candidate and what they're running about. So let's start.
I'm a surrogate for Syed. Tarrant Appraisal District, you'll get the vote at large. Everybody knows this place 1, 2, and 3, right? If you live in Tarrant County, you're going to get 3 votes, 1 vote for each place. So Syed is running in place 1. She has a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and she spent 2 years and 3 months on the ARB board. She actually started complaining that they were throwing away evidence and disenfranchising the property owner, and all of a sudden she had a conflict of interest. They said she had to go.
What is ARB, Joe?
It's appraisal review boards. When you go to protest your property value, you take your blue notice over to the left side of TAD, and then they give you a hearing. She was the person sitting in those hearings, and she witnessed Vicki Wilkie tossing evidence in the trash. And then she was said, you now have a conflict because she was on the Planning and Zoning Board in Colleyville. She votes Republican, and she's walked for Mayor Newton, Tammy Nakamura. I love Tammy. Yeah, Tammy's on my team. She actually signed a complaint against Mr. Law and for Mayor Jacob. Yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with. And that is who Syed is. She's a force to be reckoned with, and I hope she'll earn your vote come Monday. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other candidates or? Oh, I can.
Kathy Rocha here. I'm a candidate for AISD Board of Trustees, Place 3. And I'm just looking forward to hearing this story. I'm trying to understand more. And so there's 3 people that are in my space. I could say that. I believe in parental rights. I strongly believe in parental rights. And I believe in truth and transparency and addressing issues, head on. So if you know anybody in Arlington, tell them to look me up, and I would appreciate their vote.
And I do have, I am representing a candidate as well, and that's Eric Morris. He's running for Tarrant Appraisal District. And, he's been in the city council for Haltom City. He's been endorsed by Tim O'Hare and other strong conservatives from Tarrant County. So, I hope that you come out and vote for him, next week. Now, there is one candidate that, I'm going to introduce right now. This candidate, his name is John O'Shea. And I will say that, when the city of Fort Worth shut down our event, violating our First Amendment rights, John O'Shea reached out and he said, hey, I can offer my office space for this event. And, we took that offer. We are very, very grateful for doing that. But it just shows his character and why he's running for Congress, because he actually wants to help taxpayers. He wants to help conservatives. He wants to help people. And so we are very grateful for John for opening up his office space and helping, save this event and, stand up against the tyrannies from government that we're having to deal with. So he's running for Congressional District 12. And let's give a round of applause to John O'Shea.
Well, obviously, I had to open up my office because I'm not going to allow somebody to try and put their finger on this and squash our First Amendment rights. And if we have a gentleman like Abel who's brave enough to come out here and share this story, and to call it hate, there's nothing hate about wanting to share the truth. The truth will set you free. And it makes you wonder, well, then what is it that they're afraid of that's going to come out? Because there's no hatred in our hearts. We just don't like seeing the abuse and the misery that this mental illness causes. And so it's the only mental illness I'm aware of where literally people say, well, let's just affirm the mental illness. Let's just mutilate the body. Because that's going to cure the mental problem, right? I mean, do we tell people with agoraphobia, hey, don't go outside, you really are going to die? No, we say you have a mental affliction and we need to deal with it. And frankly, I think we need to turn more spiritually to deal with a lot of the problems that we're facing in this country right now. So anyway, I didn't have anything better else to do today. And so I do want to offer a word of thanks to Constable Scott Bedford and his deputies who are here to make sure that none of the people who object to this, that ironically are the ones using the word hatred, and yet their behavior is the one that is hateful. And so I appreciate you guys coming out. And again, I really appreciate your bravery and courage to kind of address this and to share with us your personal experiences. May 28th, you have a choice, America First or Rhino Establishment. The choice is very clear. Thank you. Yeah, and there is a debate.
And I'll give more details about today's event once the event's over. But thank you for showing up today. This is an important issue that the country is facing right now, and that is transgenderism. That is gender dysphoria, and gender reassignment treatments that are happening across the country. What they are doing to kids, what they are doing to people, is just sick. And Abel is going to talk about his experience, the pharmaceutical industry, the scam this whole industry has created to destroy the nuclear family, to destroy bloodlines, to destroy essentially the basic block for society, and that's the family, And so he's going to give that information. He's been in the front lines for several years. His work has actually led to laws being passed, such as SB 14 in the state of Texas, which outlaws gender reassignment surgeries and treatments below the age of 18. And so he has a powerful story to tell. Take note, take video, and we're going to introduce now our good speaker for today. And if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask questions. But let's introduce and give a round of applause to Abel Garcia.
Hi everyone, my name is Abel Garcia. It's nice to meet everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm a detransitioner. I'm originally from California, and I promise I'm not that type of Californian. If I am, I'll walk out first. Jokes aside. So I guess where I can start with my transition, where it all started, is my childhood. My father came here, well, both my parents came here illegally. And because of that, unfortunately, my parents had to work nonstop. I didn't have my father in my life, and I know I questioned myself, my own masculinity at such a young age. Eventually, I was able to find out what transgenderism was through the internet, which I will say, because I'm a bit older than all the ones who are doing it nowadays, it's a bit harder back then than it is now, so it's been going on for a while, I will say that. But when I did find it on social media, it did plant a seed into my mind about questioning myself a bit more. Luckily, I didn't do anything until after I left college, or left high school and went into college. When I finally started going to college, started questioning myself, I went to a therapist who was a lesbian woman and worked at a gender clinic, I guess is the best way to put it. first appointment with her, she immediately affirmed me as a transgender woman, said she had my letter to transition right away. Luckily, I did not accept it, but unfortunately, there was some sexual trauma not long after that, as my father found out what I was doing. And I eventually realized that what my father did with the sexual trauma to me was the catalyst of me wanting to transition. Eventually, after that, I did start the process to transition. I quickly was put on hormones, and then less than a year into my transition, another medical professional approved me for breast implants and a vaginoplasty, which, for those who don't know, what that would have done, it would have been removing my genitals. Luckily, by the grace of God, I never got that removed. But I did get the implants. So, not long into the implants, I did have some conflict with the transgender community to the point that they no longer wanted me near them. And they removed all their support, their love bombing, etc. And now I was now left on my own. I will say the good thing is that them leaving me alone allowed me to wake up to the realization of what I was doing. And one day I made the realization that I was never going to be a woman. I was just going to be a caricature or a cosplay of what I believed a woman was. And that also included if I did all the surgeries and if everyone accepted me as one. I would have never been one. Now, after that, I tried to fix my life back with the original therapist. That was a bad idea. Because her reaction was, you don't want to detransition. You just had surgery and you have childhood traumas that we haven't gone through yet. Which makes no sense, because why would you say the childhood trauma now but not then? So I'm not saying anything, but could have been biased. Eventually I realized she was not going to be helping, so I went to find a second therapist, same as the last, and they would not let me detransition either. Now, in between the first therapist and my last therapist, there's a third one. Unfortunately, the depression had gotten too bad for me that I started dealing with alcoholism. Luckily, that only lasted about 1.5 years because I had to realize that isn't the best option either. So, while I worked with this third therapist and the alcoholism, we were able to eventually get the insurance in California to reverse everything. They fought me on that, so that wasn't easy either. But everything was able to be approved in the end. It was not an easy path compared to my transition, which was pretty easy, I will say. And this is all in California, I'm just saying. Now I wonder how it is here in Texas. But not long after I got my life fixed, I decided I need to leave California. I decided to come here to Texas, and I've been here since 2022. And as Carlos mentioned earlier, I've been working nonstop to try to protect minors and other young adults who have gone through this. He did mention Senate Bill 14 here in the state of Texas, which bans gender mutilation for minors under the age of 18. We were able to get that passed. We wish we could have done more, but we all know how the legislator is. It's not an easy fight, especially if it cuts into the financial part of the pharmaceutical companies. They're going to be very upset. But since then, I've also been working very hard with other of my colleagues to try to get this in other states. We've been able to get other states to agree with us. And as of recent, I want to say it was Idaho, the Supreme Court rules that now they can ban this type of practice for minors. So we have some good news, at least in one state. But and my brain just went blank. No, I think that's it. We're just working hard right now, trying to make sure all kids are being safe, all young adults are being protected, as we are learning that other countries are now realizing the same thing. The United Kingdom, Sweden, a lot of these other European countries that started it are now saying they're hurting their population, as the realization of this is if you put children on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, if they don't get what is commonly referred as bottom surgery, they will be sterilized. Now, if they get bottom surgery, they are castrated. So, can't have kids, and obviously, well, that's not good. But, I think I'm almost done. Yeah, yeah, almost done. I think. But yes, the tide is finally turning on this, so we are, well, I guess people like myself and other of my colleagues are showing the truth of this, and having events like this is good for us to show the truth. And, well, thank you all for listening, and I'll take any questions.
What do you think is causing all of these kids to go into gender transition or join the LGBT community now?
So what's causing children to go into this path? There's a lot of reasons. Social media is one of them. And then another one is, unfortunately, a lot of them are traumatized either physically, emotionally, or sexually. And then some of these kids are either gay or lesbian, and because of how families are with them, they think it's easier to transition than be gay. And that's another thing I've been seeing a lot with some of my colleagues on the internet with this. Yes, sir.
Exactly when did this process start for you? You must have been on a very early cusp of this wave.
I started this in 2016 when I was 19 years old. And then I started the medication not long after that, stopped everything by 2019, and detransitioned in 2020.
The city of Frisco is saying that you're here preaching hate. What do you have to say about that, and would you mind repeating that question?
The city of Frisco saying that I'm being hateful. What's so hateful about a minority speaking out against the transgender ideology? I'm a victim of this. Now, if I was white, that would probably make a bit more sense. But I'm not. I'm brown. May or may not be illegal. Where's the cops?
Constable?
Darn it! Nope. So, to go back to that comment, no, none of my commentary here is hateful. I'm only speaking from personal experience, which a lot of these activists say we need to listen to personal experience. But when it comes to speaking out against what they're saying, well, personal experience doesn't matter anymore, as I know what's the truth to this, and they don't like being called out.
One follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, do you think they have a problem with Hispanics educating themselves, or is this something else?
I think it's just the fact that I'm a detransitioner, and my background as being a Hispanic does not matter to them. They're more concerned that I'm a detransitioner who is speaking out against this.
Outstanding, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the social media platforms that you think are primarily influencers of this ideology?
So what influenced me was YouTube itself, but these kids are now on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're now X. I shouldn't be dead naming X now. Now that was a trans joke. I promise I won't be like Biden. Laugh now. But yes, a lot of the social media, like I said, TikTok, Twitter, X. Stop dead naming it. YouTube, Instagram, I think I might have said that one or not. I don't think kids use Facebook anymore. I'm not making a commentary on that one, though.
So what would be your advice for, young men and young women that are, obviously caught up in this, they believe that this is who they are, or they're tormented by it. What would be your advice to them? Speaking to their hearts and their souls, because they're still wonderful human beings.
Well, the main thing I would definitely say is you don't need to change your body. You don't need to change your exterior to match your inside. I know personally I don't have too much of an issue if a young lady is a bit more masculine or a young man is a bit more feminine. That's fine as long as they don't go down the path of transitioning. Because once you go that path, well, you're never the same person. So just love yourself as you are and work on improving your physical and your emotional side and get away from social media. Yes, ma'am.
What role do you think teachers or schools play in this movement?
I don't have too much knowledge on that aspect as I don't pay attention too much on the school side, but from people I've worked with and what we see on social media, especially on X with Libs of TikTok posting what teachers are posting themselves, there is a part of a good part of teachers are pushing their own beliefs on these minors and before they can really understand what's going on. Yes, sir.
So you made the comment, obviously informed consent is a basic medical practice. I mean, it's the Nuremberg Code. You literally put it in place to protect against Nazi-type experimental atrocities. It sounded like you were fast-tracked when you first brought up the subject that, hey, maybe I might be experiencing this. And yet then when you had some hesitation or reluctance and thought, hey, I'm going down the wrong path, all of a sudden then the pushback started and you started becoming informed. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I mean, it's shocking to me that they would just greenlight somebody who came in saying, hey, I'm confused. Oh, well, here's your solution. And then, hey, I think I'm on the wrong path. I need to go back. No, let's sit down and talk about it now.
So in states like California and any other blue state where they approve of this completely, they're always going to fast track everyone. As of now, to my knowledge regarding the informed consent, they don't really have to tell you what's going on. And they didn't tell me what was going to happen. They just let me know what exactly I wanted to hear. That my body would be more of a woman, that I would now be who I was supposed to be. And that's usually what they say. So they don't really tell us. I know regarding the Nuremberg stuff, that is why all those laws were created. And unfortunately, what we are seeing now with how quickly everyone is being fast-tracked, I think it is a violation of human rights to harm children and young and vulnerable adults. Yes, sir.
Are you using gender-neutral pronouns? Is that the society in California where they really don't say he, she? Talk about that.
So California is now going to more gender-neutral pronouns, so they're not using mother, father, just as an example, no longer brother, sister. Everything has to be gender-neutral to appease to the pronoun police, which is not good because that confuses children because, well, if my mother and father are now called my parents or my birth giver, or whatever the terminology is for fathers, well, kids are going to be confused, and, well, that's how you get it start young, and
So
after...
It's like grooming them up to that point then?
Yes, you can say that. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned being abandoned by the transgender community at some point. Could you speak a little more about that?
Yeah.
What that looked like for you?
So they abandoned me because I committed a great sin in their opinion. I wanted to be a cop. That's what it was. Yeah, I know. It sounds ridiculous, but trying to become a cop for them was not a good idea, especially in California. So while I was trying to work with my local police department as a volunteer, they did not like that, and some of the higher-ups within the community, those with political power, did not enjoy that, and it blacklisted my name, and I was no longer allowed to work or help out, as nobody wanted to work with me.
How did you feel about that?
I was sad for a while, but after the realization that what they did and no longer being affirmed and love-bombed, the truth started to settle in. Well, it crashed on me like an avalanche. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that if your father had been around a heck of a lot more this path, if you had a loving father spending time with you, you might not have had to go down this path?
I would like to say yes, but because I can't change the past and I can't really predict the future had my past been different, I really can't say yes. If my father was in there, we had a great relationship, it could have gone different. I hope it would have been a different path, but I believe the Lord had me go through this for a reason.
Do you feel like you're a victim of hate because you decided to transition?
Yes, a lot of the transgender community, a lot of activists don't like me. And I'm sure as I get more notoriety, I'll be getting a bit more hate. Mostly because I'm a detransitioner, not because I'm a minority, unfortunately. But if I'm using their playbook, I would probably use that with me. Just don't tell the constable I may or may not be illegal.
So how would you define your perspective of love and acceptance now?
I would say accepting reality is the main one that I would use, and accepting people as they are, not the way they want to present themselves by harming themselves with cosmetic surgeries and drugs that we don't really know the full extent of.
And how do you know and understand and comprehend and feel love today as opposed to what you did before?
Well, now compared to then, back then, the love I received from these activists was conditional. As long as I agreed with them, as long as I stayed in line, that's the only way they loved me. But compared to today, I'm able to say whatever I want, think however I want, and people will still like me. Unless they work for me, they don't have a choice. Yes, sir.
This is kind of off subject, but it has me wondering. You brought it up, your neighborhood. Was there just a general hatred of cops, or would you say your neighborhood was Sereno or Norteño, or was it just a general hatred of cops? Or both?
The dislike of law enforcement didn't come from my Hispanic background. It actually was from the LGBT community. And they're the ones who did not approve of me wanting to be a cop.
Well, that's a very masculine thing to want.
Yes. Yes. Maybe that's why. Yes, ma'am.
So, as I think about this, you know, the way the situation is now with so many young people having transitioned, which is really scary, gives me goosebumps. And thinking about going forward in the future with all the expenses, I mean, how is this being handled by families? Is insurance paying for this? I mean, and going forward, you know, how are these, I'm just flabbergasted thinking about, you know, the things that insurances don't cover, you know, like TMJ, which I have really bad, you know, and then are they covering this type of surgery? And are they just, or is it just the parents that are providing all these funds, and what do these things cost?
So a lot of insurance nowadays are covering everything for transgender related if it's to transition. But if it's to detransition, to go back to your how your body was born naturally, they do not approve of that. They do not cover any of that. And I found that out the hard way when I was still in California. I was informed by my insurance company and my surgeon that to remove my implants, it was going to cost me $3,000 out of pocket, which I did not have. But the insurance had no problem covering that to get them inserted. I know there are actually no medical codes as of right now to detransition, but there are so many to transition. And I know some of the colleagues that I'm working with, we are trying to get some medical codes for detransition, and we're trying to get insurance to cover this. For myself, I have my own private insurance, but as of right now, I haven't really needed anything for detrans care related. But that's also because I don't trust doctors anymore. So it's kind of hard for me to see a doctor. Kind of need someone to drag me to the doctor every week.
So have you had
Yeah, so some of the issues that I'm dealing with since my transition and detransition is I don't really have any more nerves in my chest because of all the surgeries I had. Not to be too graphic, but I have genital atrophy, so that to explain that a bit better, they're very tiny. Probably pre-puberty is, I think pre-puberty is still bigger than what I have now. I may be sterilized because of that. I got a lot of brain fog, muscle spasm, which were never there to begin with, and I know I'm losing my eyesight as well.
I'm sorry you're going through all that, and I really appreciate your courage to share your story.
Yes, sir.
Abel, thank you for helping pass legislation in the state to make what you went through really a piece of legislation, unfortunately, that did not pass was preventing the counselors and social workers from basically taking you through sort of that entrapment process and affirmation. Will you be helping in the next legislative session trying to pass that?
So, while I cannot confirm exactly what I will be working on for the next legislative session, I will say I am going to be working on some bills because we weren't able to get everything we wanted last session. But this coming session, we will be working on getting some of our old bills passed, hopefully. And who knows what else will get worked on.
If there is one group of people that you might say are most responsible for that, who would that be?
All the liberals who support this, because they're the ones who are pushing this and been pushing it for at least a decade, to my knowledge, if not longer.
Do you have to have a bodyguard everywhere you go? Are you threatened a lot?
I am not threatened enough, but because we are in Texas, I am able to carry. Now, whether I'm carrying or not, I cannot confirm that, since we also have constables, and I don't need to be detained, mostly because I may be illegal. Yes, sir.
Yes, Abel, thanks for sharing with us. I would like to, if I may, try to summarize what I've heard, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, and I'd have a follow-up question on that. So you're saying that as a young adult, you were influenced by internet
Yes.
to go ahead and transition, and then when you sought professional help for that, they were very quickly gung-ho to help you do that.
That is correct.
And then, without even changing your mind about the transition, the community, for a different ideological reason that had been supporting you so wholeheartedly, immediately abandoned you.
Yes.
And then, when you went to detransition, these same hypothetical mental health and professionals were reluctant to, affirm your new position that you were in fact a man and you wanted to be a man. Is that all correct?
Yes.
And you said you got breast implants and you had exogenous hormones. Did you have any other gender-affirming care?
Besides the breast implants, the estrogen and spironolactone, that is all I've taken. I want to say that's everything. Unfortunately, my memory is not as good as it used to be.
What was the last thing you said it was?
Spironolactone, it suppresses testosterone, but I've been informed by other medical professionals who are not insane and are working with me. That is not its main purpose. It's actually a heart medication.
Okay, so they are using that as off-label
Yes,
prescription.
everything
to
that they
suppress
use.
testosterone.
Yes, all medication they use for gender-affirming care is for being used off-label. Even the puberty blockers themselves.
And you had already gone through puberty, so you did not have puberty blockers, but what is your understanding of the function of that?
The role of puberty blockers for minors, it stops their puberty at whatever age they are. So it does not allow them to grow properly. And because they also are being given cross-sex hormones, their bodies are developing of the opposite sex.
Right. And in your case, you were taking those medicines, I guess we'll call them, for how long would you reckon?
About 2.5 years.
Right, and you have lasting effects from that you haven't overcome. And you said you had to be dragged to a doctor every week. Is that
that was more of a joke because I do have an employee with me, so I'm just poking fun at him, saying that he has to take me to work to the doctors.
I see. Is that to like try to mitigate the negative effects of what you've taken?
It's mostly because since I no longer have much faith in doctors, for me to see one is kind of hard.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had to have ongoing care as part of the detransition process.
I will say I have seen a few doctors. I have had my health checked out. I am grateful that there's not too much damage, but there is enough, unfortunately.
I see. All right, thank you so much.
I just want to make a point of clarification. So when it was mentioned that liberals had caused this agenda, there was a bill that was in the Texas House last session, 1898, and it was for government grants for hospitals providing care for youth. Tony Tinderholt, our conservative state representative from Arlington, actually voted for an amendment that would have precluded any money for any transition service. It would have been specified that any mental health grant would not be used for affirmative care. It was killed by a point of order by Charlie Guerin that was affirmed by our speaker, Dave Phelan. They are liberals, but they are Republican liberals. He then proposed the Second Amendment a second time, saying that you would not give grant money to public hospitals or healthcare providers who affirmed a child's gender other than their born biological sex. That amendment was voted down by a majority of Republicans, my opponent being one. So I just want to call attention to the fact that it's not just liberals bearing a D behind their name that were opposed.
Yes.
Also false Republicans.
Yes, that I am aware of that. Not everyone during this last session who killed most of the bills that we were trying to get were only Democrats. Yes, a lot of the Republicans did that as well. And not all Democrats are evil, as I was able to meet up with some of them who agreed to our bills and supported us, which it just shows that it's who's captured, and it doesn't matter what political party they are. It doesn't really matter, since either side will turn on us. Yes, sir.
And you bring up a very, very excellent point. This polarization we have where you cannot go to the other side because you get labeled. I go to Democratic events and I go to Republican events, and I'm conservative. I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. And I get tolerated by my little lefty friends, and they love me. Do you find down in Austin that you're labeled, not by the LGBT, ABC alphabet, I'm talking about the entrenched establishment that's down there in Austin, are you labeled because you do cross the aisle?
I know if you were to ask a lot of people online, they would probably claim that I'm a right-wing conservative. I'm not. I'm actually, politically, I don't really care. I'm just doing this because this is a hot topic conversation as a victim. That's why I'm here. My political party doesn't really matter. I've been on both sides. I don't like either side, so.
You're like me.
Yep. So, but I will say a lot of a lot of the elected officials who were willing to listen to me agree that what happened to me was wrong and that we shouldn't be letting children at least be harmed. Yes, sir.
To John, what's driving these Republicans to do that? I mean, why would they make that vote?
Follow the money. So Dave Phelan gets a large look. The sort of sad truth about this is big business. They've been caught on tape, on candid camera, stipulating that this is big money for these hospitals to provide these services.